An infrastructure committee accepted the requested changes and this week introduced legislation in the House that would codify them into law. Psych! That means he got the retirement program extended. This means Zach is going to get to retire at 37. All he has to do is hide under a desk for 6 months without anybody noticing he's on the payroll without a job, and then he's going to get to It was on track. Bill Schuster accepted the requested changes this week, introduced legislation in the House that would codify them into law. It was totally going to work until somebody narked out Zach for what he was trying to do. And so now, thanks to these meddling New York Times reporters asking questions about it, it has all fallen apart. Quote, House lawmakers were preparing to push the package through the chamber on Wednesday, but confronted with questions about the early retirement extension, they decided to pull just that provision to ensure that the rest of the technical changes could become law. Perhaps my favorite part of all of this is the bullpucky supposed argument about why this change at the Coast Guard was no big deal, and the Coast Guard just needed to extend this little program right away just for a few officers, just as a technical matter. That argument that they would need to do that was that they needed to have parity with the other armed services, right, with the other services in the military. Apparently, nobody in Congressman Schuster's office, nor Congressman Schuster himself, nobody Googled that. Nobody fact-checked that argument. Because the Coast Guard reinstating that sweet early retirement program turns out would not give them parity with the other services. The U.S. Army, in fact, ended that exact same program last year and got a whole bunch of headlines for it. So when somebody snuck in the dead of night and said, Coast Guard needs to do this in order to match up with what the Army's doing, I'm sure that sounded good in theory, but literally just Google it. Just Google it. Google Army Early Retirement Program, and this is what pops up. Literally, these headlines just pop up immediately. Yeah, the Army just got rid of that. But apparently Congressman Schuster's office didn't Google it. Wasn't bothered. Didn't see anything wrong with this at all. So bottom line, this story in the New York Times, this scoop from the Times, is that the White House Deputy Chief of Staff may have been involved in a ham-fisted, like, county clerk embezzlement-style scheme to change U.S. law and the policies of the U.S. Coast Guard just for a minute, just for him, specifically to give himself a sweet early retirement plan. And he almost did it, except now he has been caught. And this is what counts for beauty right now in American national politics, right? Because you could tell this kind of corruption story in like you wouldn't even need the length of an after-school special. This one you could just tell as a paid public service announcement, right? In your civics text